Now, this is training need analysis. The training need analysis should address the employer's strategic longer term training needs and its current training needs. As important as strategic training is, most training efforts aim to improve current performance, specifically training new employees and those whose performance is deficient. How you analyze current training needs depends on whether you are training new or current employees. The main task in analyzing new employees' needs is to determine what the job entails and to break it down into subtasks, each of which you then teach to the new employees. Analyzing current employees' training needs is more complex because you must also decide whether training is the solution. For example, performance may be down because the standards are not clear or because the person is not motivated. Managers use task analysis to identify new employees' training needs and performance analysis to identify current employees' training needs. Now, methods for identifying the training needs. There are several ways to identify how a current employee is doing. These include performance appraisal, job related performance data, observations. Now, in this job related performance data, it includes productivity, absenteeism, tardiness, grievances, waste, late deliveries, product quality, downtime, repairs, equipment, utilization, and customer complaints. These are the things that are all included in job related performance data. Then you see observations by supervisor or other specialist. Then interviews, you can see in interviewing with the employees or his or her supervisor. Then you find the test of things like job knowledge, skill, and attendance, attitude surveys, individual daily diaries, assessment center result. Apart from this, you even find this can't do and won't do. Now, what is this? Can't do and what won't do? It is actually the manager's aim to distinguish between can't do and won't do problems. First, determine whether it is a can't do problem and if so, its specific causes. For example, the employees don't know what to do or what your standards are. There are obstacles in the system such as lack of tools or supplies, or you have hired people who doesn't have the skill to do the job, or there is an inadequate training. On the other hand, it might be won't to do problem. Here, employees could do a good job if they wanted to. One expert says, perhaps the biggest trap that trainers fall into is developing training for problems that trainers just won't fix it. For instance, the solution may be to change the reward system. Next is the training methods on the job training. On the job training means having a person learn a job by actually doing it. Every employee from clerk to CEO gets on the job training when he or she joins a firm. In many firms, on the job training is the only training available. It includes there are apprenticeship training, informal learning, job instruction training, which we call JIT, lectures, programmed learning, audiovisual based training, vestibule training, video conferencing, and computer based training. Now, what is apprenticeship training? They are actually basically a structured process by which people become skilled workers through a combination of classroom instruction and on-the-job training. Informal training, basically, or informal learning, is actually employees learn on the job through informal means, including performing their jobs on a daily basis with their colleagues. This is how they learn, through informal learning. Now, job instructional training, which we call JIT, what is it? It is actually, many jobs consist of a sequence of steps that one best learns step by step. Such step-by-step training is called job instruction training. Then lectures. Lecture is basically a quick and a simple way to present knowledge to large group of trainees, as when the sales force needs to learn a new product feature. Right? Now, next is programmed learning. Programmed learning is basically whether the medium is a textbook or internet or program learning, it is a step-by-step self-learning method. You see, it is a step-by-step self-learning method that consists of 3 parts. Number 1, presenting questions, facts, or problem to the learner. Number 2, allowing the person to respond. Number 3, providing feedback on the accuracy of the answer with instructions on what to do next. Now, these programmed learning reduces training time. It also facilitates learning by letting trainee learn at their own pace, get immediate feedback, and reduce their risk of error. Then it's audiovisual based training. It is, you find increasingly these things have been replaced by web based method. Audiovisual based training techniques like DVDs, films, PowerPoint, and audio tapes are still popular. The Ford Motor Company used video in its dealer training session to simulate problems and reactions to various customer complaints. Next is vestibule training. With vestibule training, trainees learn on the actual or simulated equipment they will use on the job, but are trained off the job. Vestibule training is necessary when it is too costly or dangerous to train employees on the job. Example is pilots. Video conferencing. It is popular for training geographically dispersed employees and involves delivering programs via compressed audio and video signals over cable broadband lines, the internet, or satellite. Then it is the computer-based training. It refers to training method that use interactive computer-based system to increase knowledge or skills. Now, off-the-job training methods include case studies method, management games, role-playing, in-house development center, executive coaches, seminar, behavior modeling, development center within the organization. We start off with the case study method. A development method in which the manager is presented with a written description of an organizational problem to diagnose and solve. Management game are basically, second is the management game, a development technique in which teams of managers compete by making computerized decisions regarding realistic but simulated situation. Role playing. It's a training technique in which trainees act out but parts in a very realistic management situation. Then comes in-house development center. Many firms, particularly the larger ones, establish in-house development center, often called as corporate universities. Such centers typically offer a catalog of courses and programs aimed at supporting the employer's management development needs. Now comes the executive coaches. It's a outside consultant who questions the executive boss, peers, subordinates, and sometimes family in order to identify the executive strength and weaknesses and to counsel the executive so he or she can capitalize on those strengths and overcome the weaknesses. Now, I hope the lecture is clear to you all. If you have any query, you can email me. Thank you so much, students.